So I spent the last 8 years learning how to learn and build skills. And now more than ever, that ability is extremely important with how fast things are changing in the markets, in the job market, just business. If you can learn fast and adapt, you are going to win in almost any field. So in this video, I'm going to give you guys a science-backed framework that high performers are using to learn extremely fast and to be able to adapt and be that person. Now, the first thing we need to get into is unlearning certain myths about learning. Now, the first one is it's just about repetition. As long as you get your reps, you are going to get better and master something, or it's just about the amount of hours you put in. You got to do your 10,000 hours. That's how you master a skill. And that's just completely false. That assumption believes that all reps and all time that you're putting on that task are equal, which again is just completely not true. There's better ways to get reps and better ways to spend your time that's going to allow you to learn faster or slower, which is exactly what we're going to talk about in this video. And also because of that belief, people tend to get into the mindset of, okay, it's just about time. It's just about reps. I want to learn a skill. I'm just going to read a book. I'm going to listen to this podcast. I'm going to watch some videos. I'm going to maybe memorize some scripts if I'm trying to learn how to speak. I'm going to maybe, learn some sales tactics, read some sales books. That's how I'm going to build a skill. So they get in this mindset of doing a lot of easy things. It makes them feel like they're learning, but at the end of the day, it doesn't translate and get them the results that they're looking for. And at the end of the day, learning is all about altered behavior and really getting the result that you were trying to get. If you're trying to learn about sales, but you're not getting more sales, are you really learning if you're not able to get that end result? So at the end of the day, that's how you measure learning. Are you altering your behavior and are you getting your desired result? You can take a sports analogy, for example. If you're trying to learn how to shoot, but you can't make more shots in a game, are you really learning? No. And that's what we should be judging our learning based on, is the result and the altered behavior that we're able to get. Now, the first thing, most people just dive right into learning. Okay, I want to learn about sales. Let me just go watch a bunch of videos. I want to learn about, business. Okay, let me go to school, or let me start picking up some books. Or I want to learn a language. Okay, so let me download an app and let me just learn some random words, right? That's not the best way to learn. The best way to learn is before you even start, figure out, okay, what is it that I'm trying to learn? And then break that skill apart. What are the most important things that I can learn here that are going to lead to the quickest results and the best results early on and that actually matter? And then the other thing is starting to get a big picture idea of what it is that you are trying to learn. Now, Richard Feynman is, a famous physics teacher, and this is something that he did where he would give everyone the big picture idea first, then he would get into the nitty-gritty stuff. So when you learn that stuff, it makes sense in the bigger picture. But most people, they start with the basics, they start, piecing, and then they expect it to just all connect. When in reality, you should almost start top down. When you have an idea of what the reasoning for what you're learning and how it relates to the bigger picture, it connects and it's a lot easier to learn. So for example, a lot of people start to jump into learning language. Like I said, they start to learn that app, when in reality, the best way to learn a language is learn the top 500 to 1,000 words. If you know that, you'll understand 80% of what is being spoken. So that's that 80-20 principle. Again, talking about, public speaking. Okay, you want to learn how to public speak. A lot of people just start watching videos and they start doing this. When in reality, maybe you should just be filming yourself talking like I am now. And then that's how you're going to be able to learn actually speaking. Or maybe it's learning about tonality. Maybe it's learning, okay, what are the top 10 principles that make someone a good public speaker? Who are the top 10 public speakers? What makes them good? Okay, that's the 80-20 principle. I'm going to learn, okay, what's the most important pieces? I'm going to start there. That's going to give you the fastest result. So a lot of people don't take time before they actually jump into learning. They just start going in, when in reality, if you could maybe spend 10 hours in the beginning learning about how you're going to learn this, what's the big picture of this, breaking down the top people in those fields and what makes them good, and then start to dive into your learning, you're going to learn it a lot faster. So it's almost like taking one step back to take 2 steps forward. Now, the next piece is actually understanding what a skill or learning is. And because a lot of people don't understand it, again, they just think brute repetition or just time is going to be the thing that builds that skill. When in reality, a skill is essentially just a neuron firing. And the way that you build those skills is actually through struggle. Now, when you do that, when you're struggling through learning something, you're strengthening something called myelin, which wraps around a neuron that allows you to send that, signal faster and more effectively. So when you're learning, if you're not being challenged, you're not building that myelin. That's why people, they just go through brute repetition or just trying to memorize something. That's why it doesn't stick, right? You're learning in school, okay, just learn these words or learn these facts. They never stick because it's just, okay, what's 2 times 2? Okay, it's 4. 2 times 2, 4. The more you do it, you're not strengthening that myelin because there's no longer the struggle. There's no longer, okay, I got to think through this and try to figure it out. No, it's just memorization short term, and then you're going to forget it. So every time you struggle with a concept or trying to remember something, that's where you're building that myelin, not just, again, going through the motions and just doing the same thing over and over again. So now that you know what a skill is or knowledge is and how you actually build it, now we can get into some of the tips to how to strengthen that myelin so that way that skill is a lot more effective, more efficient, and actually, you can retain it for the long term, not just memorize it for a week and then you forget. So the first principle, which I'm sure most of you guys were taught in school, is that you need to space out your learning. If you're just cramming for a test, you might be able to learn it for the next day, but after that, you're going to forget because it only allows you one time to learn it and then forget it. But every time that you can space something out, out, learn, forget, relearn, forget, relearn. Again, we're strengthening that. And then as you space it out, you're going to elongate the amount of time that it takes you to remember that. So say you're trying to learn, you know, certain skills, you're trying to practice certain things. In the beginning, okay, I'm gonna do 3 20-minute sessions a day, and then the next day I'm gonna come back to the same task. Then maybe you space it out 2 days, okay? So I do Monday, Tuesday, then I'm gonna do it maybe Thursday or Friday. So it gives you some more time in between to forget whatever skills it is that you were trying to build. Then, okay, maybe I wait 5 days or a week, so I revisit it again, dive even deeper, learn that skill even deeper, and then again, okay, I'm gonna come back to something else. So that's just simply the concept of spacing, which again allows us to forget, and then that process of re-remembering or relearning or re-executing that skill is just going to force you to struggle a little bit, build that myelin, and then again, you just keep repeating that process. Now, the next thing, which most people don't do, is we want to be interleaving. So we want to mix other things in between. So maybe we're doing an hour learning block, or even maybe just 30 minutes in the morning. So we're gonna do this, maybe skill A, then we're gonna do skill B, maybe then we come back to skill A again. Then, okay, next session, we're gonna do the exact same thing, but maybe we go skill B, skill A, skill B. So we're mixing in other things that again, just allows us within that session to forget, to relearn. Now, it's also going to be more difficult. You're not going to feel like you're learning as much. It's not going to feel great because you're spending that whole time struggling, and it's more challenging, and mentally you're expending a lot more energy, but that is what it takes to get better. Now, the next piece is retrieval. So this is where most people again mess up. Okay, they're learning something, or maybe they're doing flashcards. Okay, what's this? Okay, boom. You're forced to retrieve that answer, but it's very short term. And then, okay, I'm gonna go through maybe 5 more minutes later, I get the same exact flashcard. I can remember it because it was only 5 minutes ago. That's in my short-term memory. What you should be doing is maybe, okay, learning block in the morning, learning block midday, then at night, I'm just going to write about everything that I learned and try to retrieve as much of that information as I can, tie it into the context of the bigger picture, how I can use it. And that's gonna force you to also, you know, produce things on that knowledge. So a lot of people, they're just consuming. They're never really forced to, you know, put that out there, whether that's speaking to a camera, whether that's talking to somebody else, sharing that knowledge, or even just writing it down and trying to write maybe a, you know, 1-page paper on that. That's gonna force you to find the gaps in your knowledge, which you can then use to go revisit when you do study, or it's gonna help shape your thoughts and your understanding on that topic. So this is something that I've been doing right now with my own learning. I call it, you know, the Renaissance hour, trying to become a Renaissance man, right? Whatever, kind of corny, but you get the point. So every day I'll do a 20 to 30 minute session learning something, and then after I'll write for about 30 minutes. So what you do is you think you understand something until you have to teach it or explain it in a certain way with a certain writing prompt. Try to teach it almost to somebody else. And this is a very important part of the process. To teach is to learn twice. So if you can teach somebody something that you're learning, you truly understand it. But when you're forced to do that, you realize, oh shit, maybe I don't understand it as much as you thought. In your head you do. You feel like you have all that information. But when you have to consolidate it and write and, you know, organize it in a way that actually makes sense, you realize you don't know it as much as you want. And again, you're in that process, struggling, trying to remember and retrieve all that information and skills. And again, it's just going to force that myelin to continue to keep growing and strengthen those skills or knowledge. Now, the next biggest piece is you want to be practicing or learning these skills in the context that you are going to be using them. This is the number one thing that most people do not get when it comes to learning skills, and why they don't get the results where they actually want them. Okay, I want to get more sales calls. This is why you don't book more sales calls, because you're just learning not in the environment that you're going to use it, or public speaking, or even language learning, right? You're just learning by absorbing information, or maybe you're just listening to videos, but you're never forced to speak in conversation. So if I wanted to learn, how do I learn how to sell? Go and sell. Get on as many sales calls as you possibly can. You can learn all the closes you want. You can have all the information in your head, but the second you take that first sales call, oh, now I'm nervous. Now you're going to forget everything that you learned. So you need to learn in these contexts as much as you possibly can. If you want to learn how to public speak, do the public speaking. Take out your phone, film it like I am right now, speak to the camera as if you're speaking to someone, or even better, get a small crowd, get 10 people. Do your first public speaking, even if it's 3 people, 5 people, 10 people. This is going to force you into uncomfortable situations in the exact environment that you're going to use that skill. And then again, that's where you'll be challenged even more. And that's where you'll be able to, again, find faults, and then you can revisit your learning. Now, 2 other quick points that you can do is try to change your environment. Try to change the way that you are learning and taking in this information. Maybe read books. Maybe then you also do podcasts. Maybe then you also go do a mentorship. You learn from somebody, you learn from someone in the actual field. Another thing you can do is add certain constraints. So say, okay, I want to learn public speaking. I have to talk to this camera for 5 minutes straight, but I can't use right? Or I have to talk continuously without pausing for more than 5 seconds. So it's going to force you to kind of come up with things and entertain. Or maybe you challenge yourself. I know there's people that talk about, okay, we want to learn how to public speak, try to talk with a pencil or something in your mouth. It's just going to challenge you. So find different ways to challenge yourself, different environments, all this kind of stuff, and add constraints. That's a great way to just enhance your learning and force you out of your comfort zone, which is ultimately where you learn. Now, point number 5, also one of the most important pieces. After you're learning in that environment, you need to get feedback. This is, again, why most people do not get better or learn knowledge or learn these skills because they never get feedback. There's a reason why people have coaches. There's a reason why we have teachers in the education system. There's a reason for that, is because we need that feedback. Again, say you're trying to learn public speaking, say you're trying to learn code, you want to build websites, design, social media content, whatever it may be, get as much feedback as you can. So go out, do it in the actual field. Okay, sales calls, boom, record 10 of them. Go back, listen to all of them. Was your opener good? Was your tone good? Could you have improved this? Could you have improved that? Get that feedback, go do it again, just a little bit better. You want to learn public speaking? Watch the video, film yourself, watch it back. Was your tone good? Was your intro good? Was your pacing good? Was your hand gestures, your emotions, was your energy good? That's when you can start to improve. And this is something that I use myself almost unintentionally to become better at speaking to the camera like I am now, is I filmed hundreds of videos for my other social media, and I was always editing the content. So I was always rewatching. It's almost like film, like you would for an athlete, but for yourself. So I was able to watch back all these videos. I was very monotone at first, and I was using certain words all the time for no reason. So I was able to learn from this and continue to keep improving till I got better at speaking to the camera and was completely comfortable. So use yourself to get feedback, but also use outside sources. That's why it's important to use a coach for whatever it is that you were trying to do, if you can, or just simply send stuff to your friends. Hey, what do you think of this? Give me some honest feedback. Or if you're posting on social media, post certain things that you maybe not going to post because you're scared of the feedback. Get that feedback, use it. Some of it's good, some of it's not, but ultimately at the end of the day, it's just a data point. So if you can do this in combination with everything else, that's where you're going to start to really learn. Now, the biggest piece of learning that, again, most people just completely ignore is sleep. Sleep is where we actually download all of these things. The same thing with, lifting weights. You want to get stronger? Okay, we get in the gym to stress the muscles, but the recovery process is actually where we build that strength and build that muscle. Same exact thing with learning. Our learning sessions is essentially where we just stress the brain. When we sleep, that's where we download, right? That's how you can kind of think of it. Download these skill sets or download this knowledge. So if you're not getting effective sleep, right, there's studies where, okay, you only get 4 or 5 hours. You might only learn 60, 70% of what you could have learned if you got good quality and quantity of sleep. So obviously there's a lot of different things that go into that. Cold, dark room, getting 8 hours good sleep, not using your phone all before, a whole bunch of different things. That's a whole separate topic in video, but you guys get the point. Sleep is going to be a very important piece to learn these skills. Another important antidote is being able to take naps, especially in between these learning sessions, are things that are going to make a difference over the long term. Now, these are not things that you'll necessarily see a difference in one day, but if you do all of these things over the course of a year, you will be able to learn at such a faster rate than everybody around you. It will almost be comical. So hopefully this helps you guys. If you guys are currently in the process of trying to learn a specific skill or knowledge, drop it down below in the comments and let me know what you guys are in the process of learning. So hopefully this helped you guys. See you guys in the next video soon. Peace.